I'm Glenn Stubbins, Ben's stunt double. Or I was, till you feckers rubbed him out.
Who feckers? Us feckers?
All you feckin' feckers took him from me!
For your man. Cheers.
What is up, nerdtectives? Welcome back to another episode of Nerds at Night. I am your host, Blake Money Blakeweather, the world's most okayest detective, and we are back for another week talking all about... Now, before we get started, I kind of want to make two big announcements. See, when we started this whole show together a few weeks ago, the channel had maybe a couple hundred subscribers less than 5,000 subscribers. And as of early last week, we went over 5,000 subscribers. And I think right now we're something like almost at 5.3K. So first of all, I just need to give y'all the biggest of shout outs. Y'all have helped us get it over that. Y'all help keep growing this channel and keep growing this show that we're covering every week. And you keep making these episodes more and more fun to do. You keep blowing up the views. You keep blowing up the likes. You keep blowing up the comments. It's kind of a big deal because the second big announcement is, as of 2 weeks ago on September 6th, this channel celebrated its 1 year anniversary. So let's just clap. Let's just clap. Thank y'all so much for making this small channel bigger and bigger as the years gone on. I can only hope that we can keep delivering more and more entertaining stuff for y'all to tune into, keep making y'all laugh. And then if we're covering murder mystery shows, keep making y'all think. And I hope we can continue to have great conversations over the comments. So yeah, those two big announcements. I just wanted to share those wins with y'all before we got started. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back to the show. So if y'all have tuned in before, y'all know how this works. And if you haven't, welcome all my new little feckers. How y'all doing? Let me give you the rundown if you haven't been here before. We're going to go over our murder mystery rules, do a quick recap of the episode, go over some major clues that stood out. I'm going to read some of y'all's comments, and then we are finally going to get to our suspect board for this week. And oh boy, we got some moving to do this week, let me tell you. But first, let's go through our rules for solving a murder mystery. So what are these rules, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. Rule number 1, you have to have suspects. Rule number 2, you have to have clues. Rule number 3, you have to have motivation. Rule number 4, you have to have opportunity. And rule number 5, always, you have to have red herrings. And as you know, we use all of these rules, compartmentalize all the information we're getting, and try to solve the case before the end of the TV show or movie that we're watching. Now, with these rules in mind, let's go ahead and recap this week's episode and see where we can apply them to go ahead and solve this case. So grab a coffee, grab a beer, or grab a whiskey, and let us begin. This episode starts off with Charles having a dream where he's following Saz, who tells him they're going to paradise. Charles gathers the crew and builds a murder board just for Saz. Charles is trying to find all the points that connect him and Saz together and what her connection is to the West Tower. Mabel says the people in the West Tower won't talk to her since she's been squatting. Oliver says he's tired and feeling insecure about his relationship with Loretta after seeing a picture on her Instagram with a male arm around her. Mabel finds out Saz used to follow Loretta on Insta, and the last picture she took was at a place called Concussions the day she died. The crew finds out it's a bar and plans to investigate. Mabel thanks Howard for watching the pig, and Howard says he would like Mabel's help on his podcast, Animal Jobs. Mabel says she can't right now and needs him to keep holding down the fort while she goes off to investigate, and Howard is less than excited about that. The trio investigates the bar, and after their cover is blown, the crew admits they're there to just ask questions about Saz. After Charles botches a bribe to the bartender, the stuntman patrons approach the crew and let them know they aren't welcome there. Next, after some commotion, we see Ben Glenroy. No, that's just his stunt double Glenn Stubbins, who is angry and sad about Ben's death and also might be on crack because he's stomping imaginary rats. The crew see a room in the back with the same light that was in Saz's pig, but they're forced out by Glenn. He chases the crew outside and lets them know he was just putting up a front and asks for a role in their movie. They promise to get him a job on the movie if he just tells them what's happening in the back. Glenn lets them know that a chiropractor named Dr. Maggie works there, and that's who Saz was probably visiting with. Charles volunteers as tribute and decides to stay back and speak with Maggie. Howard is hanging with Hammy Faye and hears footsteps at the door and finds a note slid under the door inviting people to audition for the movie. Against better judgment, he leaves and auditions to play himself. The brother-sisters are confused about what's happening, and Howard finds out he's not the next American Idol. Glenn introduces Charles to Maggie, who only agrees to answer questions once Charles lays down for a cracking. Mabel is wondering where Dudenoff is, and Oliver is worried about what he should say to Loretta on his fake Instagram account. Oliver vents to Mabel about his insecurities and losing Loretta, and Howard comes back to break off his friendship with Mabel, but Mabel realizes Howard is here and that means no one is watching the Dudenoff place. Maggie starts talking to Charles, and he finds out Saz was in a lot of pain and she was getting ready to retire. Charles also finds out Saz was in a difficult relationship and she was looking to get away. Charles has an out-of-body moment during his cracking and thinks the bad relationship Saz was talking about was him. Mabel gets back to the Dudenoff place only to find out the Westies are moving her bed. They ask her not to call the cops and explain they're just helping run a renter scam to keep their rent prices low. We find out Dudenoff has rented the entire floor and also find out it was indeed Helga who threatened our crew over the ham radio. The Westies offer to let Mabel stay for the same low price they pay if she doesn't blow the lid on the operation. Mabel explains the situation to Charles and Oliver, and the crew each reflect on the problems each one is going through. Mabel tells Oliver he needs to delete his fake account before Loretta finds out, and Charles has a plan to help honor Saz's memory. He offers his body in place of Saz's so the stunt crew can say their goodbyes in their own traditional way. They kick off the fake eulogy, and a few of Saz's stunt friends say a short story about her and crack a fake glass bottle on Charles's head. Glenn tells his own story about Saz and hits Charles with a real bottle that doesn't break and gives him a concussion. This causes a fight to break out in the bar, and Charles has a flashback about Saz telling him about how she wants to open up a trampoline park for kids. Charles awakens and the crew goes off to visit the site where Saz wanted to make her park at. As they check out the property, they hear a noise coming from the storage shed. As they investigate, they find Bev Mellon in the shed with a gun, and she threatens to blow their brains out if they move. And as usual, as we break down this week's episode, let me go over some of the clues that really stood out to me. Let's start with the big win we got right from last week's episode as we find out it was indeed Helga who was on the other side of the ham radio threatening our crew. While we got that right, we still have to question if indeed it was her who was in the picture whose face was scratched off, or if it was someone else. Also, are we getting the complete story from the Westies about how crazy Helga is? Or were Helga's threats true and the Westies are still hiding a few more secrets? Next, let's talk about who slid the paper under the Dudenoff door for Howard to find. We see Howard knows where to go for the audition, but how if there's no information about where the auditions are being held on the open invite? Were there signs in the hallway that pointed to the celebrity apartment we've seen in previous seasons? And was this audition note purposely given to Howard, or did other residents receive this? Also, let's keep in mind his recordings of the Animal Jobs podcast, as we see he sort of records on the spot whenever he has an idea. Will one of these recordings help us find out who the killer or killers is in the later episode? Let's move on to our new suspect, Dr. Maggie, and the info we received from her. Dr. Maggie seems to know a lot about Saz's personal life and Saz's plans to move on from the business. She specifically knows about a bad relationship Saz had referenced. Were the plans or the relationship the sensitive thing that Saz wanted to talk to Charles about? And was the bad relationship really with Charles? Now, if the bad relationship is with Charles, is this good enough reason to try and kill him? Could it be because someone thinks he's not good enough to be in Saz's life? How deep do the bonds go with the doctor-patient relationship, and could Maggie be in on this? And if Charles is not the bad relationship, who else could it be? And if Saz was the intended target, was this bad relationship a part of what got her killed? Let's last move on to Bev Mellon and why she would be at Saz's trampoline park hiding in the shed. If she was sneaking around making noise in the shed, was she the one who was sneaking around making noise in Saz's condo?
Saz, you there?
What connection does Bev Mellon have to Saz? We do know they both work in Hollywood, but did they ever cross paths? Did Bev Mellon ever work on Brazos, or did she have a family member in the business back then? How did she know the location of the park? And is this a real gun she's holding, or is it just a prop? And will we find out what she knows on the next episode? Those are the things that stood out to me, but let me know what things, big or small, stood out to you. And speaking of comments, y'all blew up last week's comment section with the most amount of comments we've seen all season, and it couldn't have made my heart happier. So again, I'm just going to be thanking y'all this whole episode. Thank y'all so much. But like we do every week, you know, I went ahead and picked a few comments, so let's go ahead and read a few of them. Our first comment comes in from Sizzling Vibe, and I'm going to read the first and last line. It says, also, I think it's insane how they keep giving up info to the suspects. Also, Jan comes into Charles' apartment through the closet and the tunnels, and no one mentions it. Perhaps the killers made use of this entrance. It is really insane that they keep giving away information to the suspects. They just blabber in their mouth the whole season. That's been one of the biggest things. I'm like, shut up your face, whether it's Mabel, whether it's Charles, whether it's Oliver, everybody just giving away all they spilling all the tea, giving away all the secrets. Like, just shut up. If we look at the earlier seasons, they were not as open to spilling the beans as they are in this season. I don't know why they're doing it. I mean, hopefully, we know they're going to solve the case at the end, but like, hopefully it doesn't make it any harder for them to do it. But like, no, what is you, everybody, what is you doing? What are you doing, child? Also, yes, Jan does come into the apartment through the closet, through the tunnels. And yeah, nobody's really talked about it yet, especially on the show. I know in the comments, a lot of people have talked about it. Yeah, perhaps one of the killers did make use of this entrance, at least to come in and remove Saz's body. But like, and I heard another theory where like maybe the killer was inside of the apartment and the bullet went through Saz and it went through the glass. But like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't really like that. It's everything's lining up where somebody's shooting right from opposite apartment. So this would mean that the other person, again, I'm still of the belief that it's two killers. That would mean the other person would come through the secret tunnel and then drag Saz's body, outside and then put it into the incinerator. But I don't even think you needed to do that. Like you could, but you didn't need to do that. The door was open. Like we said, Saz left the door open. The door was open, but maybe it was useful to escape. Maybe it was useful to escape. They went back in the apartment but the door was locked. So I don't know. Let's think about this, but maybe. Next comment comes in from Super Wee Bros. Not sure if anyone has mentioned this, but Charles talks about how Saz got crew members on Brazos together to play cards with him. And now there's a group of Westies that play cards together. I think Saz started the card group or was part of it. Before this week's episode so far, I would say yes. And I still want to halfway say yes, but we did hear homie from the Westie, old Pink Eye Joe, say that he hadn't even met Saz. So either he's lying or, he wasn't there when she played cards with them. And it could be, I don't know. It could be a little fishy. Who knows? But it would make sense, right? It would absolutely make sense that like, oh, they started this card game and then there's another card game over here. Like, did Saz have something to do with it? Before this week, I would say 100%. This week, though, after the information that we got from Pink Eye Joe, I'm a little on the fence, but in murder mysteries, there's no such thing as coincidence. So it could be, maybe they've been playing this game all along, but if it's something new they've been doing, then I would strongly suspect Saz. So good comment right there. Next comment comes in from PS I Love You 1964. Rudy also has 2 deer heads on his wall and used deer hooves in his eggnog. He could be a hunter. Ooh. I like that theory. I like that theory a lot. I like it more if he's the guy moving the body, but that's such a nice catch. Did anybody else put 1 and 2 together using deer hooves and the eggnog? Like you got to be hunting, unless you could just buy some shit like that in Amazon. Like maybe, right? Maybe, but yeah, it's a good cat. Let's keep an eye on that. Let's keep an eye on if he makes any other hunter references. Another comment comes in from Sizzling Vibe. If the theme of this season is doppelgangers, the actors playing the MCs, Saz and Charles, the brother sisters, perhaps we should take a look at the brother sisters, especially after this episode. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was staring at their eyes, not because they drew me in, but I was like, y'all are wearing a lot of makeup. Yeah, did y'all always wear a lot of makeup? Did y'all have a bruise maybe in episode 1? I didn't go back to watch it, but just like, y'all be wearing a lot of makeup, maybe covering up a bruise, right? Ooh, that would be a juicy secret. And they also too are like taking Howard and like trying to like manipulate him against the group, or maybe not manipulate him against the group, because we actually don't know who put the audition slip under the Dudenoff door. But they're like, we're gonna train you or whatever they told him. We're gonna take you under our wing or whatever. And it's like, to do what, bro? Like, what are you going to do with that guy? Not to say Howard's a bad person, but just like, it's like a stranger inviting you into a van with some candy. Like, bro, what you doing in there, bro? It's kind of sus. Like, ugh, like that meme, ugh, brother, ugh. So yeah, we need to take a look at them. If we see them in another episode, hopefully we get, I think we're supposed to, right? The next episode is supposed to be like cast and crew and yada, yada. Let's keep an extra close eye on any seasons or any information surrounding them, because we still don't know a lot about them, and they still sort of rub me the wrong way. They're sort of like, I don't know, just a little icky. I don't know. Next comment comes in from Amy Barnes. I was looking up all the various meanings of tap in could be referring to tap water, tapping into someone's line, such as listening secretly to conversations, exploiting someone for money or information. There are so many possibilities. Given that Saz was tapping the ham radio lines, that seems most likely. That's interesting. Yeah, right? Like tap in, tapping into somebody's life. It could, I think in a literary aspect, it could have a couple double meanings. I do think it's just like referencing tap in, but it could have some like double meanings that we see and we're like, oh man, that also meant this whole other thing that we don't even know about. So that's interesting. I like that. I like that. Good job, Amy. Our next comment comes in from RedandC69. It's not tinsel. It's curly ribbon that goes on a GIF, in my opinion. It was kind of obvious. Oh my gosh. It absolutely could be. I read that comment and I was like, oh, duh. Like curly ribbon, like you wrap Christmas gifts with or birthday gifts. Makes all the sense in the world now if it is that, right? I don't know. I don't have any ribbon on me. I normally only have ribbon during Christmas time. So I'd put it to the torch to test out if that's actually what it is. If somebody can try that out before next week, let me know in the comments. Does your curly ribbon from Christmas, does it burn? If so, it's not that. But if it don't, oh boy, it could be that. And who do we know who like is around like ribbons or gifts or something? Apparently, and again, shout outs to Double P Media. Let me get into the story real quick. Normally, I try to have these episodes up and out, or at least recorded by Wednesday. That doesn't always happen. So then I spend Tuesday and Wednesday just listening to all these other people while I'm already putting together my script. I normally have my script done normally by Tuesday afternoon, latest Tuesday evening, and then I have to record and edit and do all that fidgety stuff. And if I can do it quick, I can have these out by Wednesday. But normally, these have been coming out by Thursday, which is not something I want to do. I want to have these out at least by Wednesday afternoon. All that said, listen to Double P Media. Guys, if you're not listening to me, at least go check him out. Or if you're listening to him and then you found me because of him, oh my God, how awesome, right? Because that dude is super solid with finding clues. And the thing is, me and his channel, I really love his channel. Like everybody else I listen to just to sort of hear, what everybody has to say. If there's anything new that I really didn't think about. Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it's just people, recapping the episode, and they'll do it with a lot more words than I do. And there's not really new information that they give. But Double B Media, like myself, really looks into the clues because we're trying to solve this thing with y'all. And that's one of the things that I love about it, that I love about his show. And so he was saying that Loretta, somebody said in his comments, was like a gift wrapper. I need to go back and rewatch season 3. But if I find that out, oh boy, like I've been told y'all I had a little sussiness with when it came to Loretta, and we'll get to it on the suspect board, but that would be fascinating. But like, when was it ever said she was a hunter or anything? I don't know, but she did leave. She did leave the next day after Saz died. No, looks a little suspicious. But yeah, that would be interesting. But that's the only character I can think that has anything to do with rapping. And that's my answer to this one-line question. Wow. Thank you so much, RedandC69. Our next comment comes in from EansBA88. My completely uneducated guess, Sass set up the card game to help Charles make friends. One of those friends was wronged by Charles somehow. That person is related to the Brother Sisters, which has got to be a fake stage name, right? The Brother Sisters push for a movie about the trio to keep tabs on them while the inevitable investigation, and knowing it's going through, make their move to kill Charles and accidentally snuff out Saz. Motive 1, they get whatever revenge they were looking for, and 2, a biopic about living people will always do less business than one about dead ones, especially if the dead person died under mysterious circumstances. That is something that, yes, I am not opposed to and definitely had thought about, especially after this week. Like, the closer that the Brother Sisters get to Charles and Oliver and Mabel, the more and more I'm going to be suspicious of them. Because yeah, did they, have a family member who worked on Brazos or worked with Charles? Or I'm gonna replace. Let's even take this another level up. Let's replace Brother Sisters with Bev Mellon, right? Because again, this episode ends. She's got the gun pointing, whatever, and it's probably just like some sort of funny gag or some sort of mistaken identity where like she's gonna like back down, and then we're never gonna suspect her again, right? Because like you're like, oh, she already pointed the gun, it can't be her. Have we seen Scream? Right? Like the most obvious person in the room usually did it. That's all I'm saying. If you haven't seen Scream, you don't know anything. But if you have seen Scream, you got you immediately got what I meant. Let's think about that. Either the Brother Sisters or possibly Bev Mellon. I don't know, but I really do. I do like this theory. It doesn't sound like an uneducated guess. It sounds like a very educated guess, and I like this. Shout outs to you, man. Our next comment comes in from Sherry7054. Saz has her stage name, but her real name could be Dubanoff? It could be. We don't know, right? Like, that would be interesting. Or is Dudanoff her father? And like she's a Dudanoff. I'm a dude. He's a dude. We're all dudes. Hey, shout outs to Good Burger. I don't know. We're 4 episodes into this season, and finger to the pulse, right? Finger to the pulse. I don't know. Yeah, my guess could be as good as anybody's at this point as for what an actual like legit curated theory looks like. So shout outs to the show for sort of for giving us the old 3-card Monty, the old slidey deal, right? Like they are definitely playing a good shell game. And yeah, all that to say, her last name could be Dudenoff. It could be her real last name. I don't know, but like I like that. I like that theory. Ooh, I'm gonna add one. Big theory energy coming through. What if her last name is Dudenoff? What if her dad's still alive? What if that's how she got money to buy the property to make her little trampoline park? Ooh, ooh, right? Ooh, that is a spicy theory. I don't know. It's a crazy one. I just thought about it, but thank you, Sherry. Next comment comes in from Road to Moon _45. Saz is his opposite twin. She is him, the confident Charles, always looking out for her muse, her double. That is absolutely true. She is him. She is the one, you know. What a great comment to put ahead of this episode, right? Because it's so reflective in that, because it's so great how Charles ended this episode and sort of being the body for Zaz instead of Zaz being the body for him. So I don't know. That was good little poetry in motion right there. Another comment coming in from Sherry7054. If that bullet was on the set, Saz knows about it well. I think Saz shot the bullet, faked her death, and left joint parts in the incinerator. How convenient to have her x-rays displayed in her home. This is part of Saz's endgame, although we don't have enough details to know about it all. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. We don't have enough details to know about it, but I mean, even this episode, mighty convenient, right? Like where homeboy Glenn Stubbins is like, you know, once you're dead, you can't come back alive, duh. And like they just keep referencing like dead bodies and how they don't have a body, and it would be so funny if we don't have a dead body because Saz ain't dead. Like that's what I think I said that right last week. Like who else would know about that type of bullet? Well, it's 3 people. It's Eugene, it's Charles, and it's Saz. Like there's just so many more clues that are going into the bag of like Saz could actually be alive. And I will say this, after this week's episode, you know how last week I was like, hey, you know, I'm going to have this is going to be my tiebreaker. It's going to really help me. I'm on the fence. No, this was the week that did it. And I'm more like 60-40, 65-35 mix of like 65% Saz is probably alive, right? Next week's episode could tip me the other way, but like as of today, somebody told me to place money in Vegas. Saz is alive. Saz is not alive. I'm putting it on red, right? Are you supposed to put it on black or red? I don't know the color. Our next comment comes in from Market ASEJD Lova 7824. I'm still thinking about the bullet and why did the killer leave it at the Dudenoff place when he almost hasn't left any traces in Charles' apartment? Did he simply forget to get rid of it? Was it planted there for the police to identify the weapon or find some fingerprints on it? Was she really shot with the weapon mentioned on Brazos, or should we think that because of the bullet found? Yeah, that's a great question. Of all the cleanup that whoever has gone through, right, the trouble of potentially shooting Zaz, not shooting Zaz, but the trouble of doing at least 3 things that we know of: leaving a bullet, 4 things, chipping away at the window, right? We saw that, and left a footprint. Why you just leaving out all kind of? All right, so maybe that's actually, I went from 3 to 5 real quick, but we got the bullet, we got the paint chips, we got a footprint, we got an incinerator, we got a bullet hole, right? Like those are 5 big things, right? That this person clearly has left some sort of evidence behind. That does not seem like quite profession now. And then also number 6, this just came to me again. It was there, leaving Saz's parts in the incinerator. Like, even if you did kill Saz, you know enough to like grab her phone. You know enough to know she's a stunt actor. You know enough to know she's supposed to be on set with Bakula. You don't know enough to know that she's got metal parts in her body, and that if you set her body on fire, they're gonna show up. Like what? Like what? But you know enough to clean up blood? Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. The more and more I'm talking about it, doesn't kind of, it don't make no sense. It don't make no sense unless, again, it's one of 2 things: Saz faked it, or we're already figuring out like this person's kind of not a great, like they can kill somebody, but they're not the best at it. They're leaving all kind of like stuff behind. Not enough to point at them, but like enough to be like enough to raise some eyebrows to where we can at least start to put our own little clue board together and figure it out. So good point. So cool 245 says, if you have to leave the building and walk around, how is the pig found wandering around? I think I was a smartass and I said something like it took the tunnels. 'Twas just a joke, my friend. Yeah, I think somebody said that Howard worked. I saw it online or in another video. Howard worked for the whatever they call the HOA for the apartments, and so somebody would have reported it. And that boy just be taking all the pets. Also, he took a pig. Where's his dog at? Where's Gravy? Hashtag find Gravy. Where's Gravy? Well, I need to find out what and if he's got her and he's got another cat. Like, bro, that's too many animals, bro. Like, you got too many. And when you're trying to run a zoo, what is wrong with you? And doesn't Gravy need love too? You just walking the pig all the time? Oh, that boy need help. Got all the emotional support animals, and he still got anxiety. That dude is a trip. But yeah, long story short, that's probably how it probably would have worked out in a building like that. And then our last comment comes in from 117 Derek. And just to let y'all know, 117 Derek has been riding with the show since we only had a few hundred subscribers back in January when we were covering Death and Other Details. I think it was before we even had 1,000 subscribers. So shout outs to 117 Derek. He says, thanks again for the shout out. Promise to be brief. Derek, you can always say as much as you need to, bro. I totally get it. We don't get enough clues to identify the murder. That's correct. But 2 points. The police said Dudenhoff was in Portugal because that's what they were told. I don't think it's confirmed. So there may not be a real Dudenhoff, or Dudenhoff could be Saz. If there is a group of killers working together and killed, disposed of Saz, cleaned up, then my money is on the Hollywood production crew. Bev Mellon, writer, directors, etc., all working together. Yes, it's Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express. That's not to give away the answer. Y'all don't know what happens if y'all haven't seen it. If y'all have seen it, y'all know. Hey, y'all know what we're talking about. But yeah, we figure out today that Dudenhoff is in Portugal. It's going to be the biggest joke in the world, right? Like, everybody's like, Dudenhoff's not real. Dudenhoff is dead. If Dudenhoff comes back in like the last episode or two and he's like, what the shit is going on at my plate? Like, what are y'all doing? Literally, what are y'all doing? What are those, right? Like, what are y'all doing? And I'm going to laugh so hard. He just feels like a real person, dude. But anything is possible. So again, I'm not going to say anybody's wrong. I'm just going to say I'm going to laugh if that happens in the last episode or two and they make it some sort of fancy actor, right? Like somebody that's been in a lot of TV shows or movies or something, and he comes back and he plays Dudenhoff, and it was the biggest joke in the world because we all thought he was dead. So, but yeah, he could be dead, or again, could be Dudenhoff, could be Saz's last name, as we talked about, her real last name. Dudenhoff could be her dad. I don't know. That'd be funky. Don't know though. And if there is a group of killers, yeah, I do think my money's on the West Coast side. My money is on the West Coast. At least being involved with this murder of Saz, or this whole like getting rid of Saz in some sort of shape, way, or form, right? It would only make sense though. It's somebody that's familiar enough with the Arconia, enough to, let's say, be familiar with the incinerator. Be familiar. Maybe they're not familiar that it turns off, but they're familiar enough to know that it's there. Or maybe that's the point. Like, they wanted to turn off the power, so they knew that like pressing the incinerator would do the trick. Somebody who would know enough they would need to go to the front desk and put in a note with Lester to say, hey, change out Charles's window when it wasn't Charles. And then it would need to be somebody that knew the west side of the Arconia, right? Enough to know how to get into Dudenhoff's place and take that shot from over there. Now, we're all saying that that's where they took it. That's where the evidence is pointing to. They could have taken it from somewhere else, but it still would need to be in the Arconia. So this seems like some cooperation from the West Coast and the East Coast. But yeah, I do think that there's more than one. If there's three, if there's four, it might be overkill. But if there's like three people, I mean, this would be the season to do it. There can be so many people involved. I don't know though. I don't if it's everybody, if everybody's just in on it. Oh man, that's too wild for my little brain. But again, thank y'all so much for all the awesome comments. Y'all are amazing. Y'all keep me young, right? Y'all keep me entertained, and y'all keep me guessing. Please, let's do this. Starting with next week's episode. I want us to go ahead and, so again, when this comes out, right, like this will come out and then the other episode will come out. So when that episode comes out, while you're waiting for me to drop another one, do me a favor, right? After episode 5, while you're waiting for me to drop my episode 5, which I hope will come out by Wednesday afternoon, Fingers crossed, latest Thursday, right? But while you're waiting, come back to this video and drop a comment about like something like a thought or a quote or a theory coming off of episode 5. Because what I want to do is I want to do a mid-season theory video and try to read as many of y'all's comments as possible. I can only do so many in an episode like this. I have to like kind of format it. Y'all hear me. Hopefully I don't sound like no robot, you know what I mean? But like I have to kind of format it. You know, I got to do a little something for the kids out there, you know, da. But like, yeah, I want to do a full episode where I just do theories and I do comments, and I want to read y'all's comments. So after episode 5, come back to this video, drop your comment, drop your theory, yada, yada. And so that way I can just collect a whole bunch of them and do it a few days after I drop the next episode. Does that sound good? But yes, I want to keep hearing from y'all. I appreciate the love so much. And now y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children around the world. It is suspect board time. It's some of y'all's favorite time, and then some of y'all it's not y'all's favorite time. Y'all gonna click off, and that's fine. I love y'all. Or hopefully you're clicking off like your boss is coming. You're like, oh shit, I gotta get off break. But come back. Hey, come back. Come back and watch this. It's gonna be a lot of fun because we're gonna be moving a lot more stuff on the board. For those of y'all that are here, let's hop right to it. All right, let's get into this week's suspect board. I removed some people because we're gonna have to start over. We're gonna have to start real over. You know who else I'm gonna remove too? I said I was doing it in the comments. I'm gonna remove Scott Bakula. We're gonna move him back here, and I'm gonna move him to probably not. Somebody did point out in the comments. Was it Sheriff? Sheriff, it was you. All right, I appreciate it. We had a whole long comment, and last week I wanted to. I was supposed to remove Scott Bakula in my head, but I got tied up on like, you know, our two suspects. Who was it? Christmas Guy and Pink Eye Joe. I just got too tied up, and I just outspoke myself. It'd be happening like that sometimes. But I'm going to remove Scott Bakula and move him into probably not. And now even what I'm going to do is I'm going to move her down here, and I'm going to move Loretta into maybe, right? So if we're living by the rule that like actors are not going to play themselves if they could be convicted of a murder in a show, it's probably not a good look. That's a great point, Sherry. It still could happen. So I cannot move anybody to no way besides Charles, Oliver, and Mabel. Right? Cannot do it. But I can move Loretta, who's played by a famous actress, into maybe, because some things are starting to line up with her. If we're thinking about our rules to solve a murder mystery, she had the opportunity. What was her motivation? I don't know. But she is a suspect. We've got a potential clue, right, with the gift wrapping thing. That's very loose right now until I get that confirmed by somebody. But we have opportunity. And she was already a red herring in last season. But what's to say you can't be a killer in another season, right? Like, didn't that happen to Poppy? Right? Cindy Canning's little helper. We met her in season 1, and she was the killer in season 2, right? So this show could do it. So I'm gonna move her to maybe for right now. I'm also gonna move these two to highly suspicious for no good reason, but for like the reason of like they just seem suspicious. They could have motive. We don't know if they have the opportunity. We don't know if any of these Westy people, this West Coast people, not the Westies, right? But the West Coast people, we don't know if any of them were actually in town during the time of the murders. We don't actually know. So I'm making a big, everybody calling it tinfoil. I'm just making my own like theory, my own nerdtective theory that they could be in on it, or they could be tied to a family member who knew Saz, who knew Charles. And that could be, you know, considered motivation. They could be red herrings, but after this episode, them and Bev were high on my list. In all likelihood, I should probably move Bev down. And I don't want to just yet. I think this moment right here where she's ending it with a gun is just to throw us off, because potentially they throw us off with this move. And then episode 8, episode 9, the finger gets pointed all the way to her. And then bam, episode 10, she did it, or she's a part of it. That would be wild. But that would be the show, like sort of giving us the old Kansas City shuffle, right? They were trying to look this way, and then it got something going on that way, right? So I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to move the brother sisters over there for right now into highly suspicious. I'm going to move our Westies down. Man, I really want to move them to maybe, but I'm going to move them here for right now, just based on their actions in this episode. Guys, we figured out Helga was the person that was on the ham radio. So like, I brought it up in the clues, but let's shout ourselves out, right? Let's shout ourselves out. It was a kind of a gamble. It was kind of a gamble. And I know it was maybe a little stereotypical Helga And then like, you know, it was sort of this, she was from Finland, wasn't too far off, right? Like she kind of had an accent. And like I said, not everybody who has accents is named Helga. Not every Helga has an accent. It just sort of seemed like what the show was giving us sort of lined up. It is, but is she as crazy as they want us to believe that she's not, right? Or is she really onto something and they're like, don't listen to her. She's not even here no more. And is she the one this is going to be another, I knew I moved Loretta up for a reason that I wasn't remembering. Is Helga the one in the picture that was scratched off, or is it Loretta? Let's think about that. Did Loretta ever spend time in the Arconia? We only met her living somewhere else, right? Doing some other part of her life. But was she ever there? Right? Like the timing could make sense because she met Oliver and did the play, and it was a few months before all this happened. A few months, that pig was still kind of little. I mean, the timing wise, it could make sense. That would be the wildest thing. Check this out. If Loretta was the killer, she did know how to shoot. She went to go to Oliver's to go get infiltrated, to get closer to Charles or Saz, or, you know, something like get infiltrated with the group. Then she lived possibly on the Arconia. She knew the crew, so she knew the keypad to the door. She had been a shot before. She had hunted or something, and then takes the shot, leaves town, has somebody else be involved, like perhaps, I don't know, a strong man, right? What's his name? Old strong Christmas man, has him go pick up the body, put it in the incinerator because he's missing. I don't know. Did I just solve the case? That'd be wild. That would be so wild. But then what if this is orchestrated by somebody like Bev Mellon or like the Brothers Sisters or something, and she has to report back to them. And that's why the next day Bev Mellon is emailing the crew like, oh, she emails them that night, right? Right after Sass died, all of a sudden she sends the crew an email. All of a sudden the next day Loretta's missing. All of a sudden the next day in the morning, Bev sends another email, like quite convenient with the timing. You know what I mean? Like, how did Bev know to send that email? Isn't this all starting to make sense now? I kind of just, based on what we just discussed, I kind of want to move Loretta up a little bit more, but I'm going to slow my roll. I'm just kind of thinking in the stars right now, but like, that'd be wild if that was the case, right? Man, I was on a roll there. Y'all, it's the celebratory wine got me loose. But that leaves us this week with somebody who, man, this person is a bit suspicious to me. It's Dr. Maggie. Now, everything I said for Loretta, some of that could apply to Maggie. Oh, this would be crazy. No, it can't be. This would be crazy. What if, man, okay, I'm going to say it. What if Maggie is Helga? Oh no. What if Maggie is Helga? She already knows stuff about the Westies. She knows stuff about the Arconia. She's been keeping an eye on Charles. And Saz was going to get her back cracked, not only to get her back cracked, but to like figure out what Maggie knew. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Wouldn't that be a Dickens? Like, what if Maggie really speaks with an accent, right? Oh man, that would be, and she has her hair up. But is that on purpose to throw us off so that we don't know that she has her hair down? Oh, geez, Louise. And her ex-boyfriend is Christmas man, right? Potentially he's into some older women, you know what I mean? And she has him, hey, go pick up this body for old time's sake. You know what I mean? He knows the Arconia. He knows there's incinerator, them two get off. Bev Mellon doesn't come into the case in this. So apparently that's just, she's removed from the situation. But that would be wild. That would be super wild right there. Or like she has Saz's phone. She gets Saz's phone, starts texting Bev Mellon, right? And then all of a sudden, Bev hey Bev, I'm ready to shoot the movie. And Bev's like, yeah, for sure. Let me send this email to the old podcast crew, right? Maybe Bev didn't even know what was happening. Oh, that'd be crazy. Again, that is my second crazy conspiracy. Man, y'all got me hyped up. But yeah, she's very suspicious because she knows a lot about Saz. Saz was revealing stuff to her, and she could have ulterior motives. I don't know. And like she'd just be cracking people, just touching people, just cracking you. I don't trust that. That's that voodoo. That's the dark arts right there, boy. I don't know. But she just hit me as a little suspicious. Like, seemed very friendly. Nothing too. She's wearing black too, like a bad guy. I don't know. Or she could, I did think at one point I'm not going to leave him here. So don't yell at me. Don't yell at me. But I was thinking these two were in cahoots because he could lift a body. Yeah, he didn't want to kill Saz, but I think maybe potentially as soon as he was like, you feckers killed him, right? Like he's angry. He's angry that like Ben Glenroy's dead and he blames it on the Only Murders crew, right? And maybe he wanted to start with Charles, hit Zaz, feels guilty, and or homegirl hit Zaz, was angry. He's angry. He has to clear the body out. He has to be a chill drunk. That's why he's a drunk in the meantime, right? Like just trying to forgive us our sins and drink your problems away. The answer's not there, but he's still looking for it. I'm not going to move him there. We're going to put him in maybe. Wouldn't that be wild too if the show's like, oh, remember the guy that died last season? Well, here's an identical guy and he's part of the kill. I also too, I don't know if any of this convinced y'all of anything, but this is not about convincing and this is not about being right yet. This is about having a stink. Because if I go on some tangent and I go off on some rant and you think about something 1% better or 2% better, and then it launches another idea and we put it together before the end of the season, that's what this is our suspect clue board. This is what this is all about, right? It's okay to be wrong from week to week. I'm the world's most okayest detective. I don't get everything right. We get Helga right? That's fantastic. +1 for us. Let's just see how many more wins we get. But we have to think outside of the box. Not like, and don't say Taco Bell. I'm Mexican. I'm gonna get so mad. And on that note, let me do this. Let me move Zach down, and let me move Eugene Levy down. Because again, they're actors. They're not gonna kill nobody. Hopefully not, right? Sherry, if they kill somebody, I'm gonna be so mad. We had this whole long discussion in the chat, in the comments, and I was convinced. So for now, we're gonna leave the board like this. Let's go through it real quick. Highly suspicious. We have Bev. We have the sister brothers, sisters, whoever they want to be. We have Dr. Maggie. Maybe I should even move Howard down. Like I'm beginning to feel. And so, and maybe we have the writer dude, Loretta, and we got old Glenn. Probably not. We got Howard. We got Zach Galifianakis. We got Eva Longoria. We got Eugene Levy. We got Scott Bakula. We got Pink Eye Joe. We got Christmas Man. We got the Sauce family. And then in no way, of course, we got Mabel, Charles, and Oliver. Is that how y'all's board looks at home? Is that what y'all think? Let me know in the comments if there should move somebody up, if you agree, you disagree, or if there is a theory, even if I'm wrong in your eyes, that got you thinking about something different, right? But yeah, for now, that is it for the suspect board, and that is it for our time together this week. I want to thank y'all so much for just hanging out with me, spending some time with me, nerding out on a murder mystery show that's something we all find joy in this crazy world. And again, I want to hear your crazy comments. I want to hear your crazy theories. I want to hear a big cheers from y'all. If y'all are so happy that we went across 5K subs, we've been out here for a year. I'd love to hear from y'all. Write cheers at the end of your comment. Like if you want to say something else, cool. If you want to write cheers too, I mean, the algorithm loves it. If you just want to write cheers and then write something else. But if you want to put cheers in your comment or something like that, just to congratulate us, that would be the team, and I would be ecstatic to just read that and just know that y'all are loving on us like that. So thank y'all so much. Again, I know my shows are a little bit longer than some of the other people, but I love that you hang out and we all have fun together. So in the meantime, you want to follow Nerds at Night. We're on Instagram. We're on X. You want to follow me, Money Blake Weather, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all the social medias. For the meantime, though, you crazy feckers, stay out of trouble. Thank y'all so much for coming back for another week this week to break this all down with me. And whether it's morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this, man, thank y'all so much. And until next week, I will see ya. Peace.